Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today is the day it's time to sit down and give my full review of Black Ops Cold War, or at least review everything that we know about the game so far. Today is the last full day of the beta, which means we are not going to be able to play the game again until it officially launches in November, and over the course of the past few weeks, I have really put a ton of time into this game. Between the alpha and both weekends of the beta, so far I have played and streamed 80 hours of Black Ops Cold War. Think about that, guys. 80 hours of Black Ops Cold War, which was mostly spent playing the same 3 or 4 multiplayer maps over and over, and here I am, still not bored yet. That is the biggest positive I can give Cold War so far, because despite playing a super early build of the game, I've played it for 80 hours and I'm still not yet bored, but in that time I've been able to experiment with literally everything that the beta and the alpha had to offer, and that's why I wanted to do this review here today. We're going to be covering the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of Black Ops Cold War as we know it so far, and as a result it's likely going to be a much longer video than normal, so sit back, relax, and enjoy as we cover everything here in this video. Let's kick things off with the good, the most positive aspects of Black Ops Cold War. My biggest positive personally, like I mentioned in previous videos, is that the core gameplay design is good. Going into Modern Warfare 2019, even during the gunfight alpha and then going into the beta, then going into the full launch of the game, I knew right from the very beginning that the game was not going to be designed for a player like myself. Somebody that's been playing Call of Duty for a very long time, the game is not designed for me. The developers even confirmed that in an interview where they basically said that they wanted to cater to new players and casual players with that game. They basically confirmed that they were going for a new target audience with Modern Warfare 2019, which I think is definitely evident with how the game was designed. You look at everything from safe space map design to skill-based matchmaking to the incredibly fast time to kill and you being punished for moving whatsoever, whether it's through the perk system or through the attachment system. Modern Warfare's core gameplay was designed to be very slow and to cater to new casual players. Black Ops Cold War, pretty much the opposite, right? It is a game where map design is not great. We will be discussing that in the bad section of the video. But in general, when it comes to the core gameplay, it rewards gun skill, and it rewards movement, and it rewards objective play, map knowledge, and basically all the things that made Call of Duty great way back in the day. Now, I'm not here to say that Black Ops Cold War is going to be like the second coming of Modern Warfare 2, or Black Ops 1, or Black Ops 2, or any of those old Golden Era games. I'm going to call it the Golden Age of Call of Duty if you think back to that time period. It's nothing like that, but it's good, right? It's definitely better than Modern Warfare 2019, and I think it's a step in the right direction for the Call of Duty franchise. I think that weapon balance right now, as we see it in the beta, is actually great. I will say the one caveat is that submachine guns likely need to be nerfed. I mean, sniper rifles, we'll be talking about that later. Those definitely need to be nerfed. But talking about like general weapons, I feel as though submachine guns are a little bit too good right now, and I think it's because Treyarch is overcompensating for map size with these submachine guns. Because in Black Ops Cold War, the maps are so large, the submachine guns inherently would be bad weapons, right? Because if gunfights are going to be happening further and further away, well then assault rifles and light machine guns and snipers will typically dominate. So as a result, they made the submachine guns a little bit too good, especially with things like primary gunfighter as a wild card. I mean, have you seen an MP5 with 8 attachments? It's insane. It's basically an assault rifle. It's ridiculously good, and I fully expect things to be changed between now and when the game officially comes out in November. But in general, weapon balance is good. The assault rifles are all good. The tactical rifles, which are basically assault rifles, those are also fantastic. The M16 and the Type 63 are incredible. I will say light machine guns don't really seem to have a niche in normal 6v6 multiplayer, but they are good in the ground war modes, and of course submachine guns can compete up close and at longer ranges, and even secondaries, right? The pistols are fantastic. The shotguns, with the exception of the pump action, are good. In general, weapon balance is pretty good, even though the game is in a beta stage, and I fully expect that to get even better by the time the game officially launches in November. Another big positive for Black Ops Cold War, talking about weapons here, would be weapon count. Right here in the beta, this is actually somewhat concerning, but I'm optimistic right now. In the beta, we have 22 weapons. Between all the primaries and all the secondaries, we have 22 weapons that are available. Now, for context, in Black Ops 4, when that game officially came out, the full launch of the game, we had 28 weapons. Think about that, guys. 28 total weapons, counting all primaries, counting all secondaries, and even counting the combat knife. We had 28 weapons at launch in Black Ops 4, and here in Black Ops Cold War, we have 22 weapons. Now, I'm really hopeful that this means we're going to see a lot more weapons when the game officially comes out, because right now we have 2 sniper rifles, 2 shotguns, 2 light machine guns. I think in general right there, we're going to have a lot more. When it comes to assault rifles, we only have 4. When it comes to submachine guns, we only have 4, right? So I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing a lot more weapons at launch. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Then again, knowing Activision, they may just try to repackage all that and sell it to us via the Battle Pass and DLC content updates. But I am optimistic that we're going to have a lot more weapons at launch, which would be fantastic because variety is definitely needed in the Call of Duty franchise. Now, going back to weapons here and talking about weapon count and weapon balance, we have the gunsmith system, which I think is a huge positive for this game. Now, I have seen a bunch of negative threads on Reddit about the gunsmith system. They say it's a step backwards as compared to Modern Warfare, but I don't think it is. I think it's a step back in one respect, but that one step back is not nearly as bad as people are making it out to be. In general, I feel as though Gunsmith here in Black Ops Cold War is a step forward in every way compared to Modern Warfare 2019. I think that it is fantastic that we can see so much about our weapons right down to the millisecond as to how things are going to be changed. I think that's really good. I like how there are a lot less penalties in this game as compared to Modern Warfare, whereas in Modern Warfare 2019, it seemed like if you wanted to rush, just use no attachments, pretty much, because virtually everything in the game was designed to slow down your character in one way or another. If it wasn't slowing down your movement speed, it was slowing down your aim down sight speed, or your reload speed, or any number of other factors. It seemed like every single thing in the game would slow you down, and we would tell you how much it was slowing you down. You just basically had this bar, which didn't really tell you anything, that would either go up or down based on the attachments that you had, whereas in Black Ops Cold War, you can see right down to the percent what each attachment is going to do to your weapon, and all those attachments in general give you much more of a benefit as compared to a hindrance, right? I feel as though the system that we see here in Black Ops Cold War is very good, and the biggest negative that I'm seeing a lot of people saying is that because the attachments are somewhat limited, at least right now in the beta, it's a bit harder to make new weapon variants, right? If you go back to Modern Warfare 2019, once again, you could take the Holger light machine gun and basically turn it into the G36 assault rifle. You could take the AK-47 and basically turn it into an RPK or an AK-74U or any number of other weapons. Now, while I can see why people like that system, I think it's actually really interesting how you could do that in Modern Warfare 2019. In general, the weapons that you could create, like the 74U, for example, or the RPK, or any number of other guns, they weren't really all that good. Right, you could take the Holger and make it a G36C, but that didn't suddenly make it a good assault rifle. It just made an average assault rifle, right? Here in Black Ops Cold War, we can customize our weapons, but not nearly to that extent. Like, I can make my AK-47 really good up close. I can reduce my effective damage range and get a lot more weapon handling characteristics and things like that, which is fantastic. Or I can deck it out to make it more like an RPK if I want to, but it's not nearly as in-depth as what we saw back in Modern Warfare, but I think that's okay. Because while it's interesting that we can adjust our weapons based on our playstyle, I think it's better for them to release actual new weapons as compared to forcing us to try to make our own most of the time. I can see why people like the system that we saw back in Modern Warfare. I can definitely see that. But if you look at the customization that we have in Black Ops Cold War, there definitely is room for potential. Like, for example, on the AK-74U, you could basically turn it into the AS Val. It looks exactly like it, in fact. And I think there's a lot more that we're going to be able to do at launch as compared to the beta. I can see why people really like the idea of making their own custom weapons, but we basically have that here in Black Ops Cold War. You can deck out your M16 to be the ultimate long-range powerhouse, or basically turn it into a 3-round burst submachine gun up close and make it very effective up close, right? You can do the same thing through snipers. You can deck it out to make it a hard scoping machine or a quick scoping machine based on what you want to do with it, right? You could take the MP5 and make it basically like an MP5K, which is super good up close but really bad at medium to long ranges, or you can deck it out with all the long range attachments and basically turn your MP5 into an assault rifle, right? There's a lot you can do with this system. I think it's really interesting, and I have a feeling it's going to get even more in-depth once we see the full launch. But as of right now, based on what we see in the beta, I think the system is good, and I still think it's an improvement over Modern Warfare, but that's assuming that we get more weapons, right? People kind of circumvented the idea that we don't have a ton of great weapons in Modern Warfare 2019 by making their own weapons with the Gunsmith system. That won't be so much of an issue in Black Ops Cold War so long as we actually get real weapons via the Battle Pass and via DLC content updates. All they would really have to do to really make those players happy, I feel like, is add different kinds of rounds like we saw back in Modern Warfare 2019. That's basically all they have to do, right? That's the biggest thing that would change, let's say, an AK-47 into a 74U. You change the ammo type that the weapon consumes. That's pretty much it. That's all they had to do, and they could definitely do that with Black Ops Cold War, but as of right now, we don't know for a fact if they're going to be doing that. But moving along here, let's continue talking about more positives of this game. I find that the operator system is really good, and full disclosure, this is coming from somebody who can go either way when it comes to the idea of specialists in the Call of Duty franchise. Like, I've played Call of Duty for 13 years now, going on 14 years. I've played every single one of them, and I'm fine with specialists being in the Call of Duty franchise with game-changing abilities, and I'm also fine with them not being in the game because of their game-changing abilities, right? So I could go either way, but it seems like the vocal majority of people on Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit do not like specialist abilities, so what they've done is they added specialists to the game, they just took away the abilities, and that's basically the operator system that we see in Modern Warfare and we see in Black Ops Cold War. I think the system is really interesting because it allows you to customize your character and play as a character, and after a while, you kind of get invested in that character in the same way you would an RPG game. An example I can give you guys is it's really awesome playing the beta. I don't play as Woods because I feel as though it's overrated, like too many people play as Woods, but it's really cool when somebody on my team is playing as Woods and they call in the napalm strike and you hear Frank Woods announce over the microphone that he's calling in the napalm strike. That's really cool. It kind of immerses you a bit into the game. Now, one thing I would say that's bad about the operator system right now, which I will be discussing further later on, is they need to have their own separate factions. It's weird that it's possible in the beta for both teams to have 6 Frank Woods on them, right? That's really weird. There needs to be 2 separate factions, and Woods only needs to be part of one faction, and the other faction needs to have these other characters. That wouldn't be so much better. We're going to be discussing that furthermore in the bad section of the video, but in general, I feel as though the operators are good, and they're going to be sold as well, I'm sure, right? It has been confirmed that the Battle Pass will exist within Black Ops Cold War, which is a positive, and it's also been confirmed that the DLC system for Modern Warfare is also going to return, and that all DLC maps are going to be free, and all DLC weapons are going to be free, and that's also a positive. So overall, I like this system so much more than what we saw in previous Call of Duty games, like going back to Black Ops 4, Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare. Like, how they're handling monetization right now is really good, and that's a huge positive here for the game. And overall, I'm going to wrap up the positive section of this video by saying that I feel as though the feel of Black Ops Cold War is fantastic. The Cold War aesthetic is great. The menu music is incredible. The sounds that the game makes. This is so small, but I pay attention to this shit because I've streamed and played 80 hours of it. But the sounds of you going through the main menu, right? And you hear the sound of what is basically a projector changing slides and everything. Even that's awesome, right? I love the entire feel of the game. Combat records existing is fantastic. The art style that we have on the maps is good. It's kind of like Modern Warfare, but with a cartoony, arcadey, Black Ops fun vibe to it. It's all great. Like, that is really good in my opinion. The core gameplay, the core feel, the gunsmith, the weapon system, the operator system, all that is really good. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start talking about the bad. I would say the biggest bad right now, at this very moment in time, for me in Black Ops Cold War, is the score streak system. I know this is going to be very controversial because some people really enjoy it, some people really don't like it, but I feel as though it's a situation of them overcomplicating a very simple system and them attempting to fix what isn't broken, right? Score streaks have worked in Call of Duty forever. Right, they worked back in Modern Warfare 3 as a support system. There were some imbalances here and there, but they worked back in Modern Warfare 3 when support was announced. It worked in Black Ops 2 when score streaks were really first added to the Call of Duty franchise, and they've worked in pretty much every single Call of Duty game since. But now, for some reason, they have to overcomplicate that system by making it so we can still earn progress towards our streaks even when we die. And if you go on a big kill streak, you have this multiplier, which has changed a couple of times between the alpha and the beta, so it's really difficult to tell how exactly you should go about things. Like, should you be going for a bunch of 5 kill streaks? Should you really go for like a 10 kill streak? Like, it's very complicated and we don't really know. And the score streaks themselves are not very good. I've said this time and time again, right? Time and time again. What helped separate Call of Duty from the other games back in the day during the golden age of COD were the kill streaks, right? The kill streaks were so much fun. In Call of Duty 4, it was a modern shooter that had kill streaks and a progression system and a customization system in the form of create a class, and people fell in love with that, right? Then World at War came up with the same idea pretty much, but in World War II, people didn't like it as much, but then Modern Warfare 2 came out, and that was huge. Modern Warfare 2 took everything about Call of Duty 4 and turned it up to 11, and the kill streaks in that game were insane. Like, the fact that we had an AC-130, which was like the most iconic mission from Call of Duty 4, and that was just a kill streak in the multiplayer. Like, you could just man an AC-130 in 6v6 multiplayer and rain down death upon people. That was so incredible, and people fell in love with it. And then Black Ops 1 came out, and the kill streaks were harder to get because they didn't stack upon themselves, but they were super rewarding. We had the Blackbird, which is the best kill streak in Call of Duty history. We had the Chopper Gunner, which is basically the same Chopper Gunner that we have here in Cold War, but we also had Attack Dogs. The Napalm Strike was really good. I mean, there were so many good things about the kill streaks in the older Call of Duty games, and then you look at what we have here in Black Ops Cold War. It's a situation where we basically have requisitions from Call of Duty World War II and support kill streaks from Modern Warfare 3 all kind of thrown together, and because they're so easy to get and anybody can get them, presuming they go on a couple of decent-ish kill streaks, the kill streaks themselves are super weak. That's basically it. I see so many people saying, "Oh, hail the Chopper Gunner. The Chopper Gunner is amazing. It's so powerful." No, it's not. It really isn't. Like, the Chopper Gunner can do damage, but it is the purest form of a glass cannon that I've ever seen, right? People don't understand this, and I've played the game for 80 hours, and I've watched tons of videos, I've watched other people stream it, and everyone keeps talking about how good the Chopper Gunner can be. Are you guys aware that it dies in like 4 seconds? Like, you can shoot that thing. Like, taking down air support in this game is as easy as it's ever been in the Call of Duty franchise, because there's a barrel that you can put on any gun in the game that increases your damage to vehicles. Like, you don't even have to make a class for it. Use the default RPD class. That's all I ever did. If they had an attack helicopter in the air, bam, I switch to the RPD class, it's gone. If they have a Chopper Gunner in the air, I switch to the RPD class, it's gone. Takes less than 5 seconds every single time. You work the entire game for this, and for what? If the other team is actually competent, Chopper Gunners and attack helicopters are completely useless here in Black Ops Cold War. I've seen so many clips on Twitter of people getting like 100 kills, even 200 kills playing Combined Arms Domination. And it's kind of an old trope here on YouTube. People say, like, you know, if you get a good score, you're playing against bad people. And while that's typically true, above average players will still always do above average. That's how Call of Duty works. But if you're dropping 100 kills, 200 kills, and a lot of it's coming from a Chopper Gunner, the people you're facing are just ignorant to the fact that Chopper Gunners are insanely easy to shoot out of the sky. They are not rewarding whatsoever. They're only rewarding if the other team is stupid. That's really what it comes down to, because it takes one person, mind you, just one person on the other team to swap to the default RPD class that everybody has access to, and your Chopper Gunner is out of the sky in less than 5 seconds. Every single time. And as a result, these score streaks that we see in Black Ops Cold War are very weak. The only ones really worth running are UAV and counter UAV, obviously. You have the Napalm, which needs to be buffed in my opinion, because the area in which the Napalm actually covers is very small, and these maps in general are very big. So Napalm needs to maybe have a range increase, make it so the area that it affects is longer, maybe make it more narrow, but make it longer. I think that'll make the Napalm a little bit better. Artillery is obviously good. It's fire and forget. People have to deal with it. Either they get killed by it or they have to hide from it. Artillery is very powerful. And then, of course, the War Machine. War Machine's also good because it's not affected by players being able to shoot it out of the sky, or rather, they have to shoot you to get the War Machine out of your hands. Those are the streaks that are good. When it comes to, like, traditional Call of Duty streaks, like the big Chopper Gunners or gunships or Pavlos or things like that, they're all horrible. They're really, really bad, and it's because they're so easy to take out of the sky. They're only going to be good if the other team is stupid. And I know people may think that's a rude opinion of mine, but it's true. It's so easy to take these things out of the sky. Rocket launchers, don't even bother. Don't even bother with a rocket launcher, because those choppers do have flares and everything. All you have to do is shoot at them. Shoot at them with the barrel that gives you vehicle damage, and they're basically out of the sky. So overall, I would say score streaks are a bad here in Black Ops Cold War. The system is overcomplicated. It's fixing what isn't broken, and the score streaks that you actually get are weaker than they should be, and it's probably due to the fact that they're trying to balance them around the fact that everybody can earn them so long as they go on a couple of decent kill streaks. Now, obviously, I'm a big fan of not just saying something is bad, but rather giving constructive feedback as to what they should do. People keep constantly asking me on my stream, like, what should they do to fix the score streak system? Well, I think how they fix it is remove the system entirely. Go back to Black Ops 2 style score streaks, make it so you earn score, you get kills, all that accumulates in you actually getting your streaks, right? And then to balance everything out, which is so simple, but they've never done it in the Call of Duty franchise, make it so in game modes like Team Deathmatch, Free-for-all, and possibly Search and Destroy, change it from score streaks to kill streaks. You can have both systems in a game. We saw it in Call of Duty World War II. We saw it in Modern Warfare 3. It's a thing that can actually happen. That's all they have to do, right? Because making it so you have to get like 800 score in a game of Team Deathmatch calling the UAV is really dumb. Right, that's really dumb. Make it a kill streak system like we saw in Call of Duty 4, Black Ops 1, and Modern Warfare 2, and that's pretty much it, right? That's all you have to do. But unfortunately, looking at the track record of the Call of Duty franchise, once the developers have it in their head that they're going to implement a new innovation or a new system into the game, that system is going to come hell or high water. Pretty much. Like, no matter what, they may revamp it until the end of time, but they're going to have that system in the game, and I really wish Treyarch would reconsider, because I feel as though the score streak system that we see here in Black Ops Cold War is actually pretty bad. Now, moving along here with more bad aspects of the game, let's talk about the multiplayer maps. I will say that Miami has grown on me. Right from day one of the alpha, going back to that, I thought Satellite was pretty good, but even then, Satellite is like a 6 out of 10 compared to other Call of Duty maps, right? I've seen people comparing the maps here in Black Ops Cold War's alpha and beta stages to the maps in Modern Warfare 2019, but in my opinion, that's like comparing the new maps to like the worst maps in Call of Duty history. Like, you should be comparing the maps that we see in the alpha and the beta to maps from like Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, and even Black Ops 4, right? Compare them to the old Treyarch games and see where they rank. And for me, Satellite is pretty good, but it's like a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10. I would say that Moscow is growing on me. It's pretty much right up there with Satellite, but if I look at Miami and I look at Cartel, it's like, oh, these are just rough. Miami is way too big. It seems like it was designed for 9v9 or even 12v12, but it's a 6v6 map. And Cartel, while it can be good, Cartel's bushes are so obnoxious. They're as tall as your character. You'll be playing that map and you'll be running around. You'll hear footsteps or you'll see shots in the minimap and you won't be able to see the person that's 10 feet away from you. You start shooting into the bushes, hoping that you actually kill the person. That's not great design in my opinion. They should trim the bushes. Hashtag trim the bushes. That's what they should really do. And visibility in general seems to be pretty rough in this game as well. I think it's partly due to the fact that right now they're trying to make the game look somewhat gritty and somewhat realistic, right? They do this every single year at launch. Look at Call of Duty World War II and Modern Warfare 2019 as an example. They start the game off with gritty, realistic looking characters, and over time they start getting more colorful and more fun. And looking at the Cold War alpha and beta stages, it's like I cannot see these characters on these maps. They blend in so ridiculously well, and it doesn't help that the operators themselves can play for both teams, right? So as a result, I can't tell who's an enemy, who's a teammate. I'm basically looking for that red health bar and looking at my minimap to see where my teammates are positioned and then where the other team is maybe positioned, and that's how I can differentiate friend from foe. Right? It's very difficult in this game. Visibility definitely needs to be changed in one way or another. I have made the joke on stream so many times now that I cannot wait for like 5-6 months into the Black Ops Cold War life cycle, because at that point, the shop is going to be filled with a bunch of flashing neon camos and people with clown suits and pot ghillie suits and stuff like that. And at that point, visibility is going to be pretty good because you're going to have a guy running around in a clown outfit on Miami and you'll actually be able to see them. But I am hoping that in the full launch of Black Ops Cold War, that they do things to make the characters distinguish themselves from the environment a little bit more. One thing they did in Black Ops 4 was the opposing team, if you guys remember, they had like these lights on them almost. Like a red light would like be on their elbows and on their knees and maybe something around their chest, and it made it so they were a bit more visible in darker areas, but they weren't ridiculously visible, if that makes sense. Maybe bring back a system like that for Black Ops Cold War, but I will say that visibility has been pretty rough in my 80 hours playing the game so far. Next up, we have sniper balance. I could talk about this for an hour, guys. I really could. The snipers here in Black Ops Cold War are the easiest snipers to use in the history of the Call of Duty franchise. That's coming from somebody who has used sniper rifles in every single game in the history of the Call of Duty franchise. They are insanely easy to use here in Black Ops Cold War. If I'm good with a sniper, everybody is good with a sniper. And the question is, I think we can all agree that snipers are really good in this game. The question is, what can we possibly do to balance them? And I've said from day one of the alpha, this is all they have to do to balance snipers. Don't change the ADS speed, don't change idle sway, don't change damage, don't change anything. Just add flinch. That's literally it. Just add flinch to snipers like we've had in previous Call of Duty games. If you guys don't know, there is no flinch in Black Ops Cold War. Any flinch you think you're experiencing is only visual flinch. Your gun does not kick up more while people are shooting at you. And as a result, if you have a sniper and if you're remotely competent with it, you're going to win most of your gunfights. Unless the person really gets a jump on you, all you have to do is aim at them and hit them. That's it. You win. Flinch does not matter. It's so frustrating, right? You're using an M16 or using a submachine gun or using a Type 63 or anything else in the game, right? And you see that sniper, you see them first, you start shooting at them, you're beaming shots into their chest, they look at you and just go, boop, you're dead. It's like, okay. There's nothing I could have done there. Literally nothing I could have done there. I just died because that gun has no flinch. I do like the fact that flinch is not a thing in Black Ops Cold War, but snipers need to have them. I mean, in general, snipers are going to win most of their gunfights anyway, because if you're really good with a sniper, you're still going to have the shot on your target before they can even get close to you. So snipers are still going to be very powerful, but adding a little bit of flinch based on the weapon that you're going against, so more flinch against like LMGs and assault rifles, less flinch if you're going against submachine guns and pistols, make it so that the snipers flinch when they're being shot at. That's going to make it so people, one, have to be better with snipers to actually get kills with them, but two, it's going to make it so you don't die to snipers nearly as much, because right now they are ridiculously powerful, and honestly, if they don't get changed going from now to the full launch of the game, I'm pretty much going to be a sniper. I'm going to be rocking Lawbreaker all the time, have a sniper as my secondary on every single class, and I'm going to embrace it. But I think for the sake of balance within Black Ops Cold War, snipers should be the only category in the entire game that has flinch. Leave everything else the same. Leave the incredibly fast ADS speeds. Leave the incredibly low idle sway. Leave the incredibly high power, all that stuff. Just leave it in the game. Just add flinch. Just add flinch to snipers. I think it would be perfect. And I apologize, guys. My voice is like straight up dying on me here. Like I said, 80 hours of Black Ops Cold War and a head cold. It's not definitely a good combination. But moving along here, let's talk about the final bad aspect, in my opinion, of Black Ops Cold War. And that would be skill-based matchmaking. I've talked so much about skill-based matchmaking on the channel recently, and previously, in my initial review of Black Ops Cold War, I put this in the ugly section. Well, I'm putting it in the bad section now because it seems like they have really toned down skill-based matchmaking in Weekend 2, or they removed it entirely. I really have no idea. Then again, not to like toot my own horn or anything, but I'm an above average Call of Duty player who has like 80 hours of playtime, so in general, I'm going to be doing a lot better than most other people, but the people I'm playing against in the beta here in Weekend 2 are not very good. Like, they're really not that good whatsoever. We've had a couple of very close competitive matches, which has been fun. But in general, the only time we actually have a competitive match in this game is if we're facing a full party. And even then, it's not usually that crazy. I feel like connectivity has been made a lot better because skill-based matchmaking appears, anyway, to have been toned down quite a bit. Therefore, we're facing people that are actually closer to us, and therefore connectivity is much better. And in general, I have not really experienced skill-based matchmaking in Weekend 2 to the same extent I saw in Weekend 1. I discussed it previously, but I feel as though this is because it's a beta, and right now, they're beta testing matchmaking. So the reason why I'm even discussing this whatsoever is because there is a very real possibility that come launch for Black Ops Cold War, that we're going to go back to the skill-based matchmaking that we saw in Weekend 1 of the Black Ops Cold War beta, which would be horrible. I was literally playing on servers in South America. They were matching us up against South American players because of skill-based matchmaking as compared to matching us up with people in the United States. Like, it was that bad. Like, the skill-based matchmaking was so ridiculously heavy in Weekend 1, and I don't want that to happen for the launch of the game. If anything, I want the skill-based matchmaking to stay roughly where it is right now in Weekend 2, but then again, every person has a different experience. I've played the game a ton, and in my opinion, I really don't know skill-based matchmaking in Weekend 2, but it's probably there. I think there's some aspect of it that it's there, but not nearly to the extent of Weekend 1, so we're going to have to wait and see how it plays out, guys. Skill-based matchmaking is obviously a very volatile subject here in the Call of Duty community, and I'm definitely going to be talking about it a lot more between now and the launch of the game, but so far, it seems like it's been toned down quite a bit, and I would love to hear down in the comments, how has your Weekend 2 experience been so far? Because for me, it really doesn't seem to be anything like Weekend 1 in terms of sweatiness and matchmaking and bad connectivity. So I would love to hear what you guys think about that down in the comments. But with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to talk about the ugly in Black Ops Cold War. I would say right now, the biggest ugly, and this is going to be something that I think is going to be very divisive amongst you guys down in the comments, but I would say the worst part of the game right now is combined arms. right? The fact that for some reason with Black Ops Cold War, Treyarch has decided that they would rather release a scuffed version of Battlefield as compared to really focusing on what makes Call of Duty great is cause for great concern for me personally. It really is. I play the combined arms modes, the big ship one, you have the big, the wintry one. It's like, dude, these maps are awful. These maps are so bad. I am not a fan of this whatsoever. It feels like a scuffed version of Battlefield. Even Fireteam, right? Fireteam Dirty Bomb, I'm going to put here in the ugly as well, just because it seems like they're so focused right now on giving us a scuffed version of Battlefield, or basically like these pseudo Battle Royale modes, as compared to focusing on what makes Call of Duty great, which is 6v6 content. I mean, for crying out loud here, guys, here we are playing VIP Escort, which I will say, VIP Escort is pretty good. It's not nearly as good as Search, but I enjoyed it enough that I think I'm going to play Search and Destroy and VIP Escort come the launch of Black Ops Cold War. But look at the gameplay. This is 6v6 Call of Duty. I'm running around on a snowmobile running people over, dude. This should not be a thing in 6v6 Call of Duty, and it's because they seem so hell-bent on making bigger maps and bigger game modes and really moving away from what made Call of Duty great back in the day and what is still fun about Call of Duty even here in 2020. It concerns me because it really seems like if you look back at Modern Warfare 2019, it seems like they went to an entirely new target audience. They basically confirmed as much in their developer interviews. And then we have Treyarch release their game, and while we typically Treyarch games are a lot more traditional, they're now different, right? It feels a lot different this year as compared to previous years, and it seems like they're trying to go once again towards this entirely new target audience, and that really concerns me. I'm also worried that 6v6 content is really going to suffer this year because they're going to spend more time releasing Dirty Bomb maps and Combined Arms maps than they are normal 6v6 maps. And even if they do release 6v6 maps, they're probably going to make them way too big so that they can also be used in those big team game modes. Right? That's what I'm concerned about here. I mean, some people really like playing Combined Arms, and that's cool. I mean, that's cool if you guys enjoy that, but I'm coming at it from the perspective of somebody who likes normal, traditional 6v6 COD content. I'm not even like talking about like only playing old game modes either. I think Control, which came out in Black Ops 4 and is now in Black Ops Cold War, is really good. I think VIP Escort is fun. I think game modes like Fracture that we had in Black Ops 3, which has been in a bunch of Call of Duty games recently, although it's been under different names, I think that's good as well. Kill Confirmed, when that first came to Modern Warfare 3 as well. I like new 6v6 game modes. I'm all for embracing new ideas in the Call of Duty franchise, but I wanted to still feel like Call of Duty as compared to feeling like a scuffed version of Battlefield. And if you combine things like we're playing, what is this? It's Combined Arms Assault, which is basically the war game mode from World at War. We're playing this on Cartel, and it's actually awful. It is actually so bad because of the score streak system. It's basically Artillery, the game mode. And it just isn't what I want, man. I want war to come back. I mean, Combined Arms Assault, take that game mode, make it work for 6v6. That would be fantastic. Make us play it on the 6v6 maps. That would be really good. But unfortunately, it really seems like they are so hell-bent on making Combined Arms and Fireteam game modes a priority here in Black Ops Cold War. And if you're a veteran of Call of Duty World War II, and if you saw how they put so much time into the war game mode, or if you're a fan of Black Ops 4 and you saw how much time they put in the Blackout as compared to multiplayer, then you should be concerned about this. They really seem like it seems like they're trying to take the normal 6v6 traditional Call of Duty experience and put that on the back burner and then go for a new target audience with different game modes, right? Like War and Blackout and Warzone and things like that. And Warzone obviously is going to be a very big aspect of this game. And one final thing here, now we're talking about Warzone, I'm going to put down here in the ugly section, the progression system. Right, the progression system that we saw in the beta was normal, right? But they also said that the progression system that we see in the beta is not going to be reflective of the new progression system that we're going to have in the full launch of the game. Basically, what we saw with like your normal leveling and your normal unlocking of perks and guns and stuff like that, that's all going to be exclusive to the beta. The actual progression system, like whatever it is we're going to have for Black Ops Cold War come launch, has not been announced yet. And keep in mind here, guys, we are just over 3 weeks away from the official launch of this game, and they have not yet announced what the progression system is going to be like. That definitely causes a lot of concern for me personally, and it should concern a lot of you guys as well. Chances are, they're still working on it. All they've told us so far is it's going to be a unified progression system where everything you do in multiplayer and zombies are going to be tied together somehow, and that's what it's going to be like at launch. Then later on, apparently not at launch, but later on, all that is also going to be tied into Warzone. That's all we know. There's going to be a unified level of sorts, which sounds a lot like what we had in Modern Warfare 2019. So level caps could return. We don't know. We really have no idea what it's going to be like. But the fact that we're just over 3 weeks away from launch and they haven't announced really anything about it definitely concerns me. And I think it should concern you guys as well. But going full circle here, guys, to kind of wrap up this review before my voice completely dies on me. I mean, I apologize for the quality of this video. I really do, but I have to get it out. I gotta do my job here, but God, my voice hurts. To go full circle here, guys, I think that Black Ops Cold War is a good game. I think there is a lot of potential here. There is a great foundation here, right? Let me give you guys my dog as an example. So I adopted a dog, and he has a great foundation, right? He's a dog that has a very good heart. He has a good soul. He's great with people. He's great with kids. He's kind of weird or iffy around other dogs, but I can work with that. He loves riding in the vehicle and everything. He's a good dog in general, but he shits on my floor, right? He shits on my floor. And I think we can fix that. I'm going to continue to house train him, and eventually it's going to get better, right? The foundation is there. He's a good dog with a good heart, but he's a little rough around the edges, but the potential is there. Right, he's going to be a good dog with more training, right? And I think the same thing is true of Black Ops Cold War. The core foundation, the heart, the soul of the game, in my opinion, is good. The question is, can we fix the other aspects of the game that are kind of holding it back? The score streak system and the map design are the equivalent of my dog shitting on the floor, right? We have to somehow get them to realize that map design, as we see it right now, is not great, and that the score streak system needs to be reverted. If we can train them away from that, the same way I can train my dog to not shit on my floor, then I think Black Ops Cold War would be really good, right? If they could stop focusing so much on combined arms game modes and fire team game modes and focus more on 6v6, that would be fantastic. The core heart of Black Ops Cold War, in my opinion, is good, and that's why I put 80 hours in of the game. That's why I have streamed to the point where I can barely speak, right? I think the core game is good, but there are definitely a lot of aspects of the game that need to be addressed and need to be changed before launch, and hopefully they actually do that. But then again, we're talking about the Call of Duty franchise here. Chances are, if history is any indicator, they're going to release the game. It's going to be pretty rough around the edges at launch. It's going to take 3 or 4 months to kind of get them to where the game should have been at launch. And then by that point, we're going to start talking about the next Call of Duty game that's going to be coming out. Man, I wish they would just do away with that entire system. I wish they would do away with annual releases. And for the next couple of years, just update Modern Warfare 2019, Black Ops Cold War, and Warzone all side by side simultaneously. But chances are that's not going to happen. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for my review of Black Ops Cold War in its beta stage. I cannot wait to play the game more before the beta officially goes away, and I cannot wait to see what the game is going to be like come November. But I'm going to pass the question off to you guys. What do you think of Black Ops Cold War so far? I know for a lot of you, connectivity has been a big thing, right? That's definitely been a big thing for a lot of you, but for me personally, it hasn't been so huge. But I know a lot of people are going to be talking about that. I have a feeling skill-based matchmaking is going to be popping up quite a bit. I think people have very strong opinions on map design and sniper balance, so I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comments. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider leaving it a like. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.